You know what's funny? A lot of people pretend they understand football, and they absolutely do not. They just mastered 3 survival skills: when to yell, when to clap, and when to say, "That was a terrible call." That's it. Meanwhile, if you're newer to football, sitting on the couch during a game can feel like trying to join a conversation where everyone somehow got the script except you. People are yelling about coverages and someone's angry about a flag. Another person is screaming, "Why would you run it there?" And you're sitting there thinking, wait, what even just happened? Listen, you are not behind. Football is confusing the first time you watch it because nobody explains the why behind anything. Most people who try to teach football, they try to teach it like it's a rule book. But football is not a rule book. It's a story. It's strategy. It's emotion and momentum. It's chess with shoulder pads. And once you understand what you're actually watching, the entire game changes. So in this video, I want to help you finally understand why football feels so confusing at first, and more importantly, how to start seeing the game in a way that actually makes sense. This video is for the person who's dating a football fan. It's for the wife trying to survive Sundays and, well, let's see, football. Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. So yeah, pretty much every day. It's for the friend who got invited to the watch party, or the new friend who secretly Googles things during commercials. Honestly, this video is for the person who's watched football for years and still kind of just fakes it. And by the end of this video, you're going to stop feeling lost every 5 seconds. And you're going to start noticing patterns that make football actually fun to watch. Yeah, let's make it fun. Because here's the truth. You do not need to know everything. You just need to know what matters. And that changes everything, okay? Because when football feels confusing, people usually do one of 2 things. They either completely check out, right, on the phone, or they pretend to understand it. And really, neither one of those is very fun. Has that ever been you? Yeah. Some people sit through entire games disconnected because they think that football is just chaos. But people who love football, love it, they're not seeing chaos. They're seeing tension, risk, momentum swings, psychology, confidence, strategy, especially strategy. It's kind of like watching a movie in another language, or even a show that you picked up midway through the season and you're like, what the heck is going on? It's in a language you don't understand. And at first, it feels totally random because you don't understand the characters. But once someone translates a few key things, suddenly you can follow the entire plot. And here's why this matters socially too, because football is one of the biggest shared experiences that people have. I mean, families gather around it and friends bond over it or fight. But couples, they connect through it. And really, entire cities emotionally spiral because of it. I mean, that's pretty awesome. An entire city comes together over this one shared thing. So when you finally understand even a little bit, you stop feeling outside the conversation and you get to start participating in it. Okay, Let me tell you one of the most relatable examples ever. So, a friend of mine gets invited to this football watch party, and before she goes, she tells me, I'm so stressed. And it's not because of the game, it's because she's like terrified someone's going to ask her a football question. And I'm laughing because honestly, that fear is so real. She says, like, I don't want to sound dumb, which, by the way, is exactly how most people feel when they're learning football. Not incapable, just afraid of looking clueless. So, okay, she goes to this party, and within, I don't know, like 10 minutes, everyone starts yelling after the play. And like half the room is cheering, half the room over here is furious. And she leans over and whispers to this guy, what just happened? Now, here's the best part. The guy next to her confidently explains what just happened in the play, except he's completely wrong. And another guy chimes in and he's like correcting him. And then another guy over there corrects that guy. And suddenly she realizes something incredible. The people acting like experts, they don't agree at all. Because football isn't just memorizing the rules. It's interpretation of what just happened. It's opinion, strategy, emotion. And that was the moment everything just relaxed for her. She stopped trying to pass the test and started watching for patterns instead. Like who's attacking who's protecting, who has momentum, who's panicking, who's taking risks. And once she watched that way, football became interesting. Not because she memorized everything, but because she finally understood what the game was trying to accomplish. And that's what most people miss. Okay, so maybe you're thinking, well, but there's so much happening. I'll never remember everything. Totally normal. Most people think football fans understand every single detail on every single play, but they don't. Even lifelong fans miss things constantly. Football has layers. Like you don't learn it all at once. You learn it like music, right? First, you just hear noise. Then you understand rhythm, then patterns, then intention behind the music. And eventually, you stop watching the ball, right? The ball in the game, and you start seeing the game. Okay, I know. Stay with me here. Because once you understand these next three things, football gets dramatically easier to follow. First thing, football is actually about territory. This is the biggest mind shift you can have because most beginners think football is just about scoring on every single play, and it's not. Football is about controlling your territory, and that's why teams are constantly trying to gain yards. They're protecting field position. They're deciding whether to risk it by punting strategically, right? So think about it like trying to push someone backward in a giant game of tug of war. Like everything is a push and pull, and that's the offense and the defense. They're just, trying to make sure that every play, they're basically asking, can we move forward or can we stop the team from moving forward? And that's it. So now when you're watching, suddenly a 4-yard gain matters, right? A sack that you see, a penalty, they all matter. A punt matters because all of those things change territory. And once you understand that, the boring parts stop feeling random. So here's a real life analogy. Imagine you're trying to parallel park in a crowded city, like everyone's worst nightmare. So you feel like everybody's watching you. But as you're doing it, every tiny adjustment matters because the positioning of your car matters. And football is the same thing. Field position changes strategy, confidence, play calling, risk tolerance. That's why coaches obsess over yards, not because 5 yards looks so exciting, but because it changes what becomes possible next. And when you start watching football through the lens of territory, the game slows down, right? And you stop asking, like, what play was that? And you start asking yourself, did that help or hurt their position? That's like a huge difference when you're watching. And this is exactly why I created my free PDF, which is called Game Day Confident: 5 things that you can say and when to say them. So you sound like you know the game. Because, right, like sometimes you don't need a 400-page football manual. Nobody needs a 400-page football manual. You just want to stop freezing during conversations. So it gives you simple things that you can listen for, what moments actually matter, and what to say in real time so you can feel confident watching anybody. So if you've ever sat there thinking, I wish I knew what was going on, this free guide, it's for you. It's in the show comments below. Okay, point number 2. Football feels confusing because everyone watches different things and no one explains this. Different people are watching completely different games at the same time. The beginner is just watching the ball. They want to see where the ball is. And the experienced fan is watching formations, momentum, clock management, matchups between guys, like the body language, the coaching decisions. And that's why reactions can sometimes feel delayed or really just confusing. Someone who understands football sees the danger before that play even happens. It's kind of like when you're driving, like once you've been driving long enough, which we all have, you can start to predict really bad drivers before they actually do something dumb. You like see the guy up there and you're like, oh, I'm moving lanes. That guy is not going to make a good decision. So you start to recognize patterns. So for example, experienced fans can sometimes tell a run play is coming even before the snap. Not because they're psychic, it's because they recognize formations and the motions and the people, the personnel, and the timing of that it creates clues. So here's where beginners get overwhelmed. They think they're supposed to see everything, but you're not. That would be like trying to learn a musical instrument by just hearing every note play individually. That's impossible. Instead, just focus on one thing at a time. So here's a great starting point. Just watch the line of scrimmage. That's where the offense and the defense line up, right? So you have offense on one side, defense on the other, and in the middle is the line of scrimmage. So just watch who moves forward and who gets pushed backwards, where the pressure comes from, and suddenly the play starts making way more sense because football is like physical leverage before it's those highlight reels. I think that's pretty cool, right? Okay, point number 3. Football is emotional strategy disguised as violence. Yeah, it's just disguised as violence, but it's strategy. And this one changes the way you watch forever. Because football isn't just athletic, it's emotional. Like I said, momentum matters so much. The confidence of the team matters. Alternatively, like panic matters. Trust matters. And that's why one turnover can completely change a game. You can literally feel the energy shift, especially if you're in the stadium or, watching a professional game, college game, your kid's high school football game. You can feel that energy shift when something big happens or a penalty happens. And that's why like one team you'll see just tightens up and the other gets super aggressive because the crowd changes, the coaching changes. And this is why football fans get obsessed, because they're not just watching plays, they're watching the pressure, those fourth down decisions and clock management, the red zone mistakes, which is, when you get near the end zone, and those big penalties. These are all emotional moments. I like to think about it like if you've ever played poker. So, you have your hand of cards, and sure, like they matter, but that's what's called the poker face, right? What really matters is your confidence and the timing and, your risk tolerance, all in or not, right? Like that matters. And that's why two teams with similar talent between their players can have completely different outcomes, because one handles the pressure way better and the other one maybe not so much. So once you recognize that, football stops looking random and it really just starts looking psychological. So have you ever, I know you're new, but have you ever noticed how announcers constantly are talking about these things that we're talking about today, like momentum, rhythm, confidence, composure? That's because those things are real. Football it's like human behavior under pressure. We all make different decisions under pressure, which honestly just makes it fascinating. You don't get any more scary than making decisions with giant men coming to attack you. Yeah, I find that fascinating. Okay, so let's make this practical. The next time you watch football, here's what I want you to do. Instead of trying to understand everything, just watch for these 5 things. Okay, 1, who has momentum? Which team looks confident and which one looks tense? Number 2, watch the reactions after the big plays, because you'll learn what matters really fast. Number 3, pay attention on third down. That's where the pressure really increases. 4, notice field position. If a team is backed up near their own end zones, plays are completely different than when they're on midfield versus about ready to score. And lastly, listen for repeated words from the announcers. They do know what they're talking about. So if they keep mentioning things like protection and pressure, matchups, or timing, those things matter. And here's something really useful for you socially. If you want to sound confident during games, stop trying to predict every play. And instead, say just observational things like, they're playing way more aggressive now. You can see that. You know if a team is playing more aggressive, they're making bigger decisions. Or you could say something like, oh man, field position really hurt them there. You can tell if there's a result from a play and man, it's really hard to make a play right there based on where they are. So that's field position really hurt them there. You could also say something like, oh, that penalty completely changed the drive. The drive is just where they're headed down the field. It's like a series of plays is the drive. So when you see a big penalty, you can say, again, that penalty completely changed the drive. And then lastly, because we've been talking about it this whole time, you can definitely say, oh, you can really feel the momentum shift. That's after any big play, any big penalty, really, you can definitely feel that momentum shift and you can use that. So, and just notice this, that because these comments they're about understanding the flow of football. And honestly, that's what experienced fans are mostly talking about anyway. They're not memorizing facts and trivia. Do you see that? Does that make sense? Okay, so football feels confusing in the beginning when you're watching it because nobody teaches people how to see the game. They just throw rules at you. But once you understand territory patterns, pressure, momentum, emotional strategy, the game becomes dramatically easier to follow. And the best part is you don't have to become an expert overnight. You just need enough understanding to stop feeling lost. And that's where your confidence starts. One moment where the game just suddenly clicks. One moment where you stop hearing the noise and you start recognizing those patterns and the meaning of it. And once that happens, you'll never watch football the same way again because you're getting sharper already. So if this video made football finally start to make sense, subscribe below because we're going to keep making the game feel simpler, smarter, and way more fun to watch.